Hi, everybody. Welcome to Crypto News. Today is Monday, July 15th, 2024. All right. First piece of information I want to look at today is just the markets. The markets are a lot of green out there today. You see Bitcoin's up to 64.5, ETH sitting just about 3,500 right now. For me, also of note on my watch list, Coinbase stock was up 11%. He was up, I think, a little more than that and came a bit back down. But a lot of green in the markets. I think that probably what people would say the reason for the crypto markets doing well right now is the fact that it looks more and more like Donald Trump will be president. Obviously, this last week you had an extremely dramatic event around that, and I think if I get a chance, I might talk about that a little later in the episode here. But I think that the markets are probably pricing in it being more and more likely that a pro-crypto administration will be coming in. He just picked his vice president today, his running mate, who is a younger guy. I guess he's 39 years old, and he owns crypto, and he's been very vocally pro-crypto in the past. So I think that the markets are probably pricing that in. That's, I think, what the standard view right now of why things are up right now is. So pretty crazy how sentiment can swing dramatically in a very short time frame in crypto. So who knows? Maybe next week we'll be back to everybody thinking it's over again. But yeah, markets are up today. Feels good. Okay, let's see. What do I have here? My power was out all day. I made this list of things to talk about a while ago, so I'm just getting to it. All right, this next piece of information comes from Nate Garassi. He says, "Welcome to Spot ETF ETH ETF Approval Week. I'm calling it. Don't know anything specific. Just can't come up with good reason for any further delay at this point. Issuers are ready for launch." So whether it happens this week or next week, I think some more updated news on this might be that I saw something about next Tuesday. But I believe Gary Gensler even said it was going to happen in July, or they were targeting July. So it really doesn't matter whether it's this week or next week. But just to know that the ETH ETF, again, I can't really believe that the market on ETH shot up so much on that news, and then it dropped all the way back down. I just can't believe there's so many short-term traders in crypto. But in the long run, that's traditional money able to come into crypto, specifically ETH. Again, I think Bitcoin and ETH will probably be the two that have flows from traditional sources for the foreseeable future. And those two, my primary position is Ethereum. I'm not super interested in Bitcoin itself. I'm far more interested in Ethereum just because of the diversity of what it can do, and I'm more captured by the view of Ethereum. But as far as traditional flows from traditional money, Bitcoin and ETH will be getting that for the foreseeable future. So we'll see whether it launches this week or next week. We will see. Next piece of information comes from David Holt. I thought this was a really good, his Twitter handle is I Draw Charts. I thought this was a really interesting take. This is kind of it's one way to approach markets. There's, a lot of ways one could approach trading and the markets. I thought this was an interesting take and one I agree with. He says, "Of all the money I've ever made in markets, crypto and TradFi, only a tiny sliver of it came from trading active strategies. Discretionary scalping, market making, volatility positioning, etc. The real money always came from massively oversized bets on conviction plays and then sitting on my hands. Everything else is just to keep me busy so I don't mess with my core positions." So this is kind of how I personally have been approaching, developing over the last 4 or 5 years my own investment strategies and my own investment theories. And this is a take I really agree with. If you spend your time in a market and do your research and really feel like you have, crypto's, because it's an emerging market, there's much less eyes on it. The average person can go find something, find opportunities that there's just not that many eyes on. And I think it's, I'm not an expert in traditional finance. I'm not an expert in investment, anything. I'm just a guy, and who's interested in this market for that reason. So I think, especially when you're doing your own research and you're developing your own strategies, this is one to consider. When you find a gem, when you find a lower market cap project that you don't think has been found, that has real traction and has real, for me, fundamentally, does it produce revenue? Is it going to be profitable? What are the tokenomics? How are those profits profiting the token and the token holders? Those things are all, to me, it's possible to find those, and it's possible that you're one of the few that are seeing it. So just that is my my personal strategy, is to this idea of making larger bets on conviction plays and then waiting it out and continuing to accumulate as much information as you can about the market, and making larger bets on conviction plays. So I thought that was an interesting take. Active trading, you can get chopped up in these markets by trying to, time things, trying to, take profits and buy back, and swing trading. And I think for the most part, most people lose their money doing that, versus taking a longer term view and sitting on your hands. So you got to find, I think people have a trouble just waiting and sitting on their hands. So it helps to have other things to do besides looking at the markets all the time, or even smaller things you do in the market that keep you able to keep your core positions without moving them. The next thing I wanted to talk about quickly and highlight is just, this is an example for me of a project I've been following for a long time, called Cow DAO, or most people know them by Cow Swap. Started as an AMM that focuses on reducing MEV. MEV, I think most people say it's maximum extractable value, but it's basically ways that people can, through your trades, can take part of your trade every time you trade, and there's different ways to do that. And MEV is a big problem on blockchains. There's projects out there that are for the end user, they're a problem because they basically steal your money when you're trading. And Cow DAO is a DAO that has multiple products that are focused on helping the end consumer avoid MEV. So they have Cow Swap, which is their, it's an aggregator, and the cow stands for coincidence of wants, which is one of the ways that they try to match you with other people who are trading at the same time. They call that a coincidence of wants, right? If I have USD and you have ETH, and I want to make that trade, and you have ETH and you want USD, they'll match you, and that saves you money. So Cow Swap is their aggregator. If you look at their little bio on Twitter, they have Cow Protocol, which is the underlying protocol to their front end. So the Cow Protocol is their infrastructure that can be utilized by any front end, like DeFi Llama, for instance, is another aggregator that if CowSwap has the best price, it'll shoot you to CowSwap, right? So all these aggregators are basically going to be aggregating each other, and the best price wins, the best protocol wins, based on the how it gets routed, how your trade gets routed. They have something called MEV blocker, which is a way to, even when you're like providing liquidity provider positions, it is supposed to protect you against other DeFi, besides trading, other DeFi operations. For, like I said, for instance, if you are an LP, having an MEV blocker is supposed to help you avoid MEV when you're doing those things. And then their newest is called Cow AMM, and that is where they are starting their own automated market maker. That would be something more along the lines of a direct competition to like a Uniswap, where it's supposed to help liquidity providers. So if you are, using a Uniswap or an AMM, and you are providing liquidity to make a fee when somebody trades your position, their AMM is supposed to be, again, helping you avoid MEV and making that a more efficient process. So it's very complicated. I've been following them for a very long time. The team, it's a fun project. I like their the way that they speak, the way that they market. It's fairly under the radar, but crypto, OGs use CowSwap a lot. Vitalik, when he trades, uses CowSwap, which is a huge indicator to me. The Ethereum Foundation, when they make trades, they use CowSwap. So I think they are really on the cutting edge of DEX stuff, of automated market makers, and like the newest Uniswap, what they're calling Uniswap X, I think, is kind of a direct. It is. I don't want to say a ripoff, but it's validating the way that CowSwap has gone, and it's a project that I follow very closely. It's a position that I hold, and these different products they have their the fees that they take from those, and that's all kind of in development. They're doing fee testing right now, but they are taking fees, and that is going to the DAO. So my guess is it'll be right now. I think it just goes to the DAO treasury. I don't know if it will be a buy and burn in the future, but it is basically set up so when their protocol is used, there are fees associated with it. Those fees go through a buyback of Cow token that is directly putting upward pressure on the token. So conceivably, the more the product gets used, the more profit it makes, the more there's upward pressure on the token, and the DAO can vote on how those funds are used. So let me see. I got a couple more things Cow related. This is their site, cow.fi. They just kind of did a rebrand. I'm not really sure how I like the new logos and stuff. But this is their new site, cow.fi. And then this is their Dune Analytics dashboard. So I mentioned before that I really like Dune. Dune and Token Terminal are good for data. Let's see if I can get this to load here. So this is their Cow DAO revenue dashboard. So you can see the monthly revenue coming from their different. So you see on the right here they have protocol revenue, integration revenue, some different revenue sources. And again, they're toying with how they take revenue right now, and that hasn't been totally set in stone exactly their methods. But you can see that each month. So in April they had 228 ETH in revenue. In May they had 247. So you can track the revenue that the DAO makes. So yeah, I think that, so just whether it's a certain project or this is one of my favorite projects to follow, partly because it's I've been using it since before they even had a token. I had their airdrop. Then they offered you the chance to buy at the same rate as their seed round, at 10 cents a token, and it's a lower market cap. It's a direct competitor to Uniswap. I think they're cutting edge, but regardless of it, of the details of the project itself, a protocol that makes revenue, that is eventually hopefully profitable, so the revenue is more than their expenses, and then that revenue is set in a way that benefits the token holders. Those are the kinds of things that I look for when I look at different projects out there. So one to check out. I would highly recommend. I use CowSwap when I trade. I think you're going to get the best deal when you use CowSwap as far as DeFi, and be one to check out. And the last piece, one of their this is a member of the Cow DAO, Andrea Canadillo. He just gave a speech or a talk at the latest Ethereum conference on their new MEV capturing AMM, Cow AMM. So if you follow this Andrea Canadio, he just listed this link to see his current presentation on their new AMM. Okay, a couple more things real quick. I mentioned Maker in one of my last videos. Maker is often pointed to as a token that's just like kind of ignored for a variety of reasons, but one that is pointed to as having a lot of revenue. So Vance Spencer put this tweet out today. He says, Maker is the most underappreciated token in crypto, but will not be for long. Captures nearly 40% of all DeFi profits on Ethereum. I'm not sure how they're calculating that. I'm just kind of reading the tweet here. Number 3 crypto app in revenue behind ETH and Sol. Largest holding of real-world assets of any protocol. Trades at 1/3 of the fully diluted valuations of Ondo and Ethena. So it's almost completely... the fully diluted value almost exactly matches the actual market cap. So it doesn't have this huge overhang. So this last piece, he says, no VC overhang. All VCs have dumped during the bear market. So... one of the big issues, one of the things to look at is if the market cap of a project is, if all of the tokens have been released into circulation already, you don't have that extra sell pressure, right? If a token has only released 10%, 10% of their tokens are on the market and VCs hold 80% of the rest of them. And when those unlocks happen, they just get dumped, right? That's something that you would want to consider when you look at a project. All things equal, the closer a project is to already having all their tokens on the market, the better, in my opinion, because you don't have any overhang, you don't have any of that sell pressure when those tokens get unlocked. So I thought that was just I mentioned that this Vance Spencer from he's with Framework Ventures. He's been positive the Maker token for a while, and I think that this is some of the reasons why he's been that way. Again, I think DeFi 1.0 in general, these protocols that have been around for 4 years, 5 years, and have real products that people are using, and they've toyed with their tokenomics, and so. I thought that was a good tweet kind of summarizing those things from Maker. The last piece, I think I might do a separate video about crypto and politics. I had a couple pulled up. So obviously the Trump potential, the attempted assassination on Trump, right? You really are... if it's kind of like it just got brushed off and he's just doing his thing, it's kind of crazy, and it's almost like it didn't faze him at all, and his response was kind of incredible in the moment. But I guess what I thought of as far as crypto, if you have a pro crypto administration, and we really haven't had one. If you have a pro-crypto administration, obviously that's good for the crypto markets in general. And it seems like if Republicans win the presidency, that is going to be, you're going to have a much stronger crypto stance, right? A much more positive crypto stance. The other thing is that if it's kind of darker, but I think, people were... the prospects of an actual civil war, it's kind of crazy. I thought you had all the makings of when Trump lost the last presidency, you had a contested election, a close election, one that it seemed like he was not going to accept the results. And you have such a polarized America right now, and it has been polarized for, it's growing. Has been, in my opinion, it's been growing over the years, more and more polarized. You are one thing away from, I do think if that bullet had hit Donald Trump and Donald Trump had died from that, you could conceivably have a situation where you have a civil war. So one of the takes was from Naval. He says, "You want a civil war because this is how you get a civil war." It is, I think, one thing can set off. We saw it with the riots around the George Floyd event, right? One thing that happens can set off a massive movement, and it can happen basically instantly. And I think that it is possible that America has a civil war at some point. I don't think America will be, but by the time I'm done living, I don't think America will be what it is now, 50 states. I think there's a good chance that it won't. Empires rise, empires fall. America is just another one of, thousands and thousands of entities, of political entities, of countries that have come and gone. America is not a static thing. It's always been an evolving thing. Everything in life is an evolving thing. But if you were to get a drastic situation, I do think. So I think crypto benefits from obviously a. I do think crypto benefits kind of both ways. When you have a stable United States or a stable, especially with a pro crypto administration, crypto can act like a risk-on asset. It can act like a tech stock, and when money's flowing, that is good for cryptocurrency markets. If you, on the other hand, if you if you had a catastrophic event, if you had an actual civil war where you don't know who's in control of what. I saw that there was a movie called Civil War that came out last year that was really worth watching. It wasn't as much about what would cause a civil war. It was more about what it's like to be a photojournalist in war. I thought it was a really interesting movie. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be, but it's very, very worth watching. But in that movie, right, nobody took U.S. dollars, right? Nobody took U.S. dollars. They in that movie, Canadian dollars were the thing that would get you what you wanted, right? Because if you truly went through a full-scale civil war, it's possible that the dollar would lose any value. I mean, if it's backed by the government and nobody knows who the government is anymore, or who's running things, is a new faction going to create a new currency and a new name, and I mean, it sounds impossible. It sounds like that's just a made up thing that happens in movies. But if something like that were to happen in real life, I do think you could get to, like, I do think it would be. You could get an event that Balaji, he called it hyper Bitcoinization. You could get a ton of money instantly into cryptocurrency as a safe haven, because U.S. dollars are feared to not be worth anything anymore. So this is kind of an old. This is the idea of from Balaji. The idea of hyper Bitcoinization is something happens where all of a sudden a ton, whether it's Bitcoin or crypto in general, obviously the crypto markets in general would follow. But if you had a country's bid up Bitcoin or a currency collapse, now you have these kind of things on a smaller case in smaller countries when residents don't trust their currency, right? That's one thing Bitcoin can do. It can be a safe haven for these on a smaller scale. If it were to happen to a major nation like the United States or another major country with economic weight behind them, I do think I do think it would be good for crypto, and I think you could see something like what Balaji referred to as a hyper Bitcoinization, a kind of a very quick transition to digital money as a new standard. Yeah, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts around that. It is kind of insane how it seems to already have been brushed off a couple days later. Apparently, the events that have been scheduled, Trump is just going to keep on going, and it is where we're at in American politics. This was a post put out by Ledger he goes by Ledger Status on crypto. I'm sorry, on Twitter. And he's just retweeting somebody that says, "This is a wake-up call. Our political rhetoric is too extreme." The division in the United States is extreme. You saw it during COVID. It went away for a little bit. It's a new election. All that, it hasn't gone anywhere. I think that probably, you know, a big piece of it is the fact that everybody sits online all the time. I mean, it's a different world now, and for whatever reasons, it's easier for us to be extremely polarized. And one thing can lead to something that you would never think is possible to happen. And I tend to think with all this stuff, you know, the systems are so big. It's like, to me, politics is like tectonic plates. Like, the way a country goes is like getting upset about something is like getting upset about tectonic plates moving under the earth. Like, we're sitting on top of it. It's so big that an individual person, you know, I guess I'm fairly apolitical. I've given up. I don't think my life is best spent in political activism, but that's I'm getting off track here. We were a couple inches away, to me, of a very drastic situation in America, and you know, with this channel being about cryptocurrency, you know, how that could relate. I do think that political destabilization on a massive scale would Bitcoin and cryptocurrency would be seen as a safe haven. I kind of think the stock markets would crash and crypto would skyrocket. You know, if something like that were to happen, I could see stock markets. Nobody trusts the custodians anymore. Nobody knows what laws are even valid anymore. Nobody knows what is going to remain of these big United States companies. So I could see the stock market crash, and I could see everybody wanting to pull their money and self-custody cryptocurrency if something like that were to happen. So kind of a darker end, but it is something that I was thinking about kind of over the weekend and as we started this new week. So all right, so that is the crypto news for today. If you like the content, you can like, subscribe, or leave a message in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.